I don't know why you're asking, but anyway, Senator Ludlam.
Is that the three projects that we're discussing, the other one being in Playford, does that account for the entire appropriation for that grant, or are there other announcements yet to be made?
The entire appropriation for the program, in terms of what was available in grant funding, has now been expended, yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Allocated.
That program, I understand, was pretty heavily oversubscribed in the end, wasn't it?
It was, Senator, yes.
It was, yeah. I think the original allocation or the original announcement was 100 million. Did all other states and territories make at least one application for funding?
No, Senator. The program itself was really targeting the 5 major capital cities.
Okay.
And so of those states, then yes, they all submitted applications.
Are those applications public? Can we find out what you had to let go and what you weren't able to fund?
They're not public at this stage. We're going through a process at the moment of talking to all of the unsuccessful applicants and providing some feedback to them, and through that process we hope to make them all public.
Okay, good. How will you determine the effectiveness of the program and whether it's likely to be continued? I'm not sure whether Senator Mackenzie was expressing scepticism before or merely asking for information, but it looks like a damn good idea to me to bring jobs and services out to where people live in the suburbs. Yeah. So if this works, will it be continued, and how will we find out?
Yeah. Senator, that is a matter for government, and the project is only at the early stages. Okay. However, in terms of how we would measure our success, we have set up a project group, a working group with the 3 successful proponents in the Commonwealth, where we're going through and sharing project lessons and outcomes, and also looking at the barriers to successful delivery of local employment opportunities into the future, and we hope to be able to share that information with other state governments and local governments as well.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that through the monitoring and evaluation, we'll be looking at contribution to deliver improved employment opportunities. We're also looking at reducing investment risk in similar projects, also how partnerships have contributed to the development of these precincts. We're also looking at the national broadband network and how that element has actually rolled through the precincts.
That's excellent.
So all of that will be reported on. That's
great. That's the kind of cross-portfolio initiatives that I think we're looking for. Last session, you've provided me with 3 answers to questions I put on notice last session. So apologies if you did submit this and I missed it, but I asked you about whether affordable commercial space is being something that you're looking at making a priority, particularly in areas where there is empty space, as there is in many of our even suburban town centres and high streets, shop tops, first, second floor, spaces that are empty. I didn't see any sign of an answer back. Can you check for us whether that was provided, and if not? It seems to me at a relatively low cost we could bring a lot of commercial space in suburban areas into use, and I'm perplexed as to the variety of reasons why it's not. I was down in Sydney on the weekend, and all through the inner city there's space that's vacant, at the same time as we have obviously a housing affordability crisis and a lot of businesses that can't get into these areas.
We'll certainly check on that, Senator. Available commercial space was certainly an issue that came up during the consultation, and it's something that has also been addressed with the 3 projects that have been selected.
Yeah, look, my only grief with that is that there are only 3, and presumably you had a lot more interest than just that. I'm not sure how long the chair's going to let me run, because it's 60 seconds to...
a minute.
I've got a minute. I'm just going to fire a whole pile of things at you, and you can probably take them on notice, I'm afraid. You'll be aware I generally ask about indicators, consultation data sources to underpin headline indicators. Mr. Sullivan, is that still your domain?
It's not, temporarily is it?
Temporarily is, okay.
Ms. Wiley-Smith can answer your questions.
Oh, okay, great. If you can provide us on notice in terms of funding what's left in the bucket and what kind of resources the indicators will measure, and just provide us with an update on paper as to what's happening with that. One of the largest threats to biodiversity, obviously, is land clearing. If you can tell us how you think land clearing, both in urban and in regional areas, will be included in your indicators. Whether they'll tell us, for example, what we've got left and what needs to be protected. Again, particularly in urban areas where we're down to the last little bits and pieces of urban biodiversity. And my third one then is how you'll be working with the states and territories on these indicators. And I'm still, even though we've spoken of this at some length in various sessions...
Well, Senator Ludlam, I think you can put the others on
that's what I'm doing.
notice.
That's what I'm doing.
That concludes today's program.